The first ever Grassland Bird Census was conducted in Assam's Kaziranga National Park using a unique technology. Now, both the census and the technology have been highlighted by our Prime Minister in his recent Mann Ki Baat program. Hello and welcome to Drishti IAS. My name is Saloni Nankyoliar, and in this video, we will cover all the important aspects of the census for our examination. So, this first ever Grassland Bird Census, this was conducted in Kaziranga National Park. But this was conducted during the months of March and May. Right now, this is in news again because our Prime Minister has highlighted the census and also the technology behind it in his Mann Ki Baat program on 27th of July. So this census was conducted through a research project by this person, Chiranjeev Bora, who's a doctoral student of the Inspire Fellowship program. And because it is first of its kind, the census becomes important for our exam. And before we dive into the nitty-gritties of the census, let us quickly revise national parks and particularly the Kaziranga National Park. So what is a national park? It is in situ conservation method which is declared under the Wildlife Protection Act of 1972. Who notifies them? The state governments. And what gives the state governments the power to do this? It is section 35 of the Wildlife Protection Act 1972, under which the state governments can notify national parks. There are 106 national parks in the country at the moment, and particularly if we talk about Assam, there are 7 national parks. The recent additions were Raimona and Dihing Pitkai, which were notified in 2021, and the census has been conducted in Kaziranga National Park. So let us discuss the Kaziranga National Park. This was declared a national park in 1974. In fact, this is also a UNESCO World Heritage Site and it was declared in 1985. Another important international recognition that it has, that this is an important bird area. And who declares important bird areas? It is the BirdLife International. So declared in 1974, also UNESCO World Heritage Site and also an important bird area. And if we talk about the geography of this national park, it is located on Brahmaputra floodplains. Brahmaputra floodplains. And the Karbi Anglong Hills, it is situated on the south of this national park. So north we have Brahmaputra, south we have the Karbi Anglong Hills. In fact, a couple of tributaries of Brahmaputra, they either flow through the national park or they flow near it. For example, Diflu River. It flows through the national park. Then we have Mora Diflu. We also have Mora Dhansiri. So these rivers, they either flow through the national park or they flow near it. And if we talk about the important species here, first is the one-horned rhino. In fact, this national park has the highest number of one-horned rhinoceros. Some other species are also found like Bengal tiger, elephants, because this is a grassland, and some important birds, grassland birds like Bengal florican. Now, the primary ecosystem here is the floodplain grassland ecosystem. Grassland ecosystem, and approximately 70% of the national park is covered by grassland. So these were some important features about Kaziranga National Park. Now let us move to the census. So what was the purpose of the census? The purpose was very simple, that we wanted to monitor, we wanted to document the grassland birds that are found in these ecosystems because we want to monitor the health of the ecosystem. We also want to study the trend, whether these bird species are increasing in number or declining in number, whether there is a habitat loss. So we want to study all of these things, and that was the reason for this census. If we talk about the methodology of the census, this is where it gets interesting. Because these birds, these are very small, these are tiny and they are not vocally active, which means it gets very difficult to locate them visually, locate them through naked eye. So what did we use? We made use of passive acoustic monitoring. These acoustic recorders are actually non-intrusive data collection methods. What is non-intrusive data collection? This means that we are not physically entering the habitat, we're not physically disturbing the habitat. We're making use of things like acoustic recorders or camera traps to capture the movement of these species. So this is what we did, and these acoustic recorders, they picked up on the voices of the birds. Now I just told you that they are not vocally active. So how did it pick up on the voices of the birds? This census was conducted during the months of March to May. And this is the breeding season of these birds. So these birds were vocally active. They were making these voices, these sounds for mating. That is when these recorders, they picked up on the voices, and then these sound files were analyzed using spectrograms to visually represent sounds, and whatever sounds we could not identify, AI was also used. So a machine learning tool, which was BirdNet, was also used to identify the bird calls. So we made use of a lot of things. We made use of acoustic recorders, of spectrograms, of AI, ML, BirdNet. So all these technologies were used here, and that is why this census becomes important from a technological angle also. Now if we talk about the highlights of the survey, so some 43 species were recorded, but our primary focus was on 10 species. Why? Because these species are either globally threatened or they are endemic to the Brahmaputra floodplains. Endemic means that they are found only in the Brahmaputra floodplains. Out of these 10 species also, 2 are very important for us. First is the Bengal florican. So this Bengal florican is actually a critically endangered bird species. And why is this important? Because we saw in the census that its population has significantly reduced. That is why the species becomes important for us. And the second species is Fin's weaver. Now this is an endangered bird species. And why is this important? Because in the census we saw that we were able to identify a breeding colony of 85 nests of Fin's weaver. So Fin's weaver is important because we identified a breeding colony. Bengal florican is important because we saw a significant reduction in the population. Why has this reduction happened? Because there is threat to the habitat of grassland. And these threats are of multiple kinds. There are also natural threat. Then there is also anthropogenic causes to it. Naturally means that these are grasslands, okay, and grasslands naturally are going to transition to forests. Sooner or later they will transition to forests. So these bird species will see a reduction in their population. Anthropogenic pressures are overgrazing or clearing of these grasslands for agriculture. So then also there's going to be habitat loss for these birds. And climate change is always going to be there because these species are endemic to Brahmaputra floodplains, which means they're endemic, they are very critical to certain temperatures, certain water availability features. So these things are also changing because of climate change. So the reduction in population is going to be seen for all these bird species also. So what is the way forward here? The way forward is that this was a first of its kind census, and these findings can be used to provide baseline data which is crucial for our future grassland bird conservation strategies. And we can make use of acoustic monitoring. Right now we made use of that, and this can become a model for other regions also with similar habitats where the birds are not vocally that active. And further research is needed to assess long-term population trends and impact of climate change on these species for their conservation. So that was all for today's video. I hope you enjoyed the lecture. Now let us practice a question for prelims. With reference to the first ever grassland bird census conducted in Kaziranga National Park in 2025, consider the following statements. The survey used passive acoustic monitoring to detect and identify bird species. The Bengal florican recorded during the census is classified as endangered under the IUCN Red List. Fin's weaver, whose breeding colony was discovered during the survey, is endemic to Brahmaputra floodplains. Which of the statements given above is or are correct? 1 and 2 only, 2 and 3 only, 1 and 3 only, or 3 only. Please provide your answers in the comment section, and we'll meet in the next video.
For more informative content, like, share and subscribe, and do not forget to press the bell icon to get the notifications.